To all who come to this happy podcast, welcome. This is Planning the Magic. I'm Jake.
And I'm Alma.
We're two travel agents who help you plan the most magical vacation ever.
In this episode, we are going back to the basics, Disneyland 101. We're going to share everything you need to know about planning your Disneyland vacation. So before we dive into planning Disneyland vacation basics, Jake, why don't you tell me what your favorite memories are at Disneyland?
I mean, Disneyland, especially for my family, has been really special. We're magic key holders. We go all the time. In fact, I was just there last week. Got the sunburns to prove it. But our favorite things are just enjoying the magic at, every little corner. My daughter loves the rides. I love the parades. My wife loves fireworks. So much to do. Oh, and the food. Can't forget the food. What about you? What's some of your favorite stuff at Disneyland?
Yeah, absolutely. Disneyland, I feel, is really nostalgic for me. I've been going to Disneyland since I was really little, so I have a lot of really great memories there. But my most favorite memories are when I started taking the kids there. So that's kind of when everything turned a corner for me.
That really makes a difference, doesn't
it?
We love
yeah, absolutely. The kids make a huge difference. So, experiencing Disney on your own is one thing, but experiencing it through your kids is like something next level. And I love that Disneyland is like updating all the time. So, it's not a comparison video, but Disneyland is my favorite park compared to Disney World. But the rides are just a little bit more immersive, I'm finding.
Yeah, I mean, I think Disneyland, even though it's a little bit smaller, just the fact that it was the original park, it's where Walt was, there's just a whole different feel there that, not that Disney World is bad by any stretch of the imagination, but something about Disney World, there just feels just an extra little touch of magic for me.
What's your favorite ride at Disneyland?
Favorite ride? Okay. I was actually just at a training there last month, and they asked me this. And everybody thought I was crazy. My favorite ride is Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, only because I'm a little competitive, or a lot competitive. I like Toy Story Midway Mania for the same reason, but my arm gets really tired. My forearms can only take one ride a day on that one, but those are my favorite rides. What about you?
In a comparison, where does Web Slingers sit?
Web Slingers is a lot of fun. I really like it. It's almost, I guess, maybe too involved. Not that that's not in a bad way, but just
it's very like full body. Like I find it really difficult to get a high score on that one because you're constantly trying to web sling if you've never.
Maybe my accuracy is just not good enough, before. And I just
I'm basically just punching the air trying to get as many points as possible.
It's a cool ride though. I really like that one. It's a lot of fun.
But yeah, I was just thinking on the competitive level, if you're liking Buzz Lightyear and you like Toy Story Mania just for the competitive nature of it, Web Slingers is the one that I will ride with you so I can beat you at.
All right, game on.
That's what I'm getting out of this conversation.
Next time we go and we do it live from Disneyland, that's what we're doing.
Challenge accepted. I love the classic rides, of course. Matterhorn, I have to do once every trip, but it really does hurt my back. But I love that ride.
It saves you money on going to the chiropractor.
Right? Yeah. I always need to take an Advil after that ride too. It just really bounces you around. So I think my absolute favorite ride though is the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout.
Yep. Yeah. That ride's incredible.
Yeah. And actually last year when we met, I did Monsters After Dark for the first time, which is the overlay for Halloween they have there. Incredible. That ride is amazing. Yeah. So nothing comparable to Tower of Terror. It's way better.
Yeah, I remember we'll get into this later. I just went to Disney World for the first time a few months ago since I was a little kid. I've been there a bunch as a kid, but been to Disneyland quite a bit lately, in the last 5-10 years. And then going to Disney World and comparing it to the Tower of Terror, I was like, what is this? Like, compared to Guardians, that was just almost boring. Like, it was done already? Guardians is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Well, there's even, if you've ridden, I guess we'll get into another topic, obviously, of comparing rides, but at Disneyland, when they did have Tower of Terror, it was much different than the Tower of Terror they have at Walt Disney World. So there was a difference there already. But yeah, it was a good choice to replace that ride with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah,
As
it's
we,
perfect
you know,
theming for that. The whole story with it and everything, they did a great job.
so now that we've digressed a little bit too far, let's get back into planning. So, probably one of the first things that we try to think about when planning a Disneyland vacation is choosing a place to stay. So, there's lots of different options. There's on-site, there's off-site, and do you have a preference, or what do you usually recommend in that scenario?
I mean, the preference, of course, is the Grand Californian, right? I mean, it's literally walk right into California Adventure. Um, Beautiful hotel. I absolutely love that hotel, but you're gonna pay for it. It's definitely not cheap. Um, I think it's a great option if you can swing it, but um, any of the on-site properties are great, and frankly, there's a lot of great off-site properties too. Disneyland, because of how small it is and the way it was built, I just learned this last month actually. They only have I think they only have 2,200 rooms when the park holds about 60,000 people. So they have to rely on so many more of those offsite properties. So because of that, there's a lot of great options within close walking distance. In fact, some of them are even closer than the Disneyland hotel.
I agree. There are a lot of great offsite options. My on-site option that I prefer is different than yours. I prefer the Disneyland Hotel because I'm all about that Disneyland nostalgic feel, and the Disneyland Hotel just really provides that. Also, Trader Sam's is
Oh
there.
yeah.
My favorite, absolute favorite place to grab a drink and a bite to eat. Um, but yeah, I lean towards Disneyland Hotel if I'm staying on property. Now, before we dive into the different hotels off site, maybe we should talk a little bit about the differences, like why you would choose to stay on site versus why you would choose a good neighbor.
Yeah. Uh, One of the biggest benefits to staying on site is the early access, which right now is 30 minutes early before the official park opening. But you can get a lot of rides done in those 30 minutes when it's just especially because at Disneyland, you only have such a limited number of on site guests. Really can, hit up a lot of those big rides where the lines get really long or the lightning lanes are, booked out 5-10 hours right out of the gate. So that's a great option, a great reason to stay on site.
Right. Another thing with the early entry is that at Disneyland is, if you're used to being at Disney World, Genie Plus works a little different at Disneyland. So you can't make your first Genie Plus reservation until you actually scan into the park. So if you're staying on property, you have that 30 minutes early to scan into the park and pick that first Genie Plus reservation before anybody else can. So that's a huge advantage.
Of course, that implies you actually wake up in time for it. Not a morning guy.
Right.
I have a hard time getting up that early for it, but it's a great option. It's there
Oh,
for you. And then also just you're in the bubble, the Disney bubble the whole time. That's for me one of the biggest reasons to stay on site is just when you go back to the hotel at night instead of, being a Marriott themed or the Candy Cane Inn, which is great, but you don't have that Disney feel necessarily. And I really love staying on site for that reason alone.
and the pools too, they're more of like a resort style pool. So you'll have lifeguards there. You can order food and drinks to your seat. So it's just like more of a resort feel on site.
Yeah. So what about offsites? What are some of your favorite offsite hotels?
I mean, there's just so many to choose from. So depending on, like, I know our team has a huge spreadsheet of all the offsite options and what you can get where. So it depends on what you're looking for. So if you're wanting a breakfast included, or if you're wanting something a closer of a walk, you can find what you need. There's lots more suite hotel options offsite as well. Because if you're a large family staying at a Disney resort property, we can max out at 5, but then when we move into those suites, that's where the dollar amount gets really high. So that's kind of when people start looking into those good neighbor properties, and there's some really good quality ones and some new standouts. We're seeing a little bit further away, the Cambria. They have a water park on property, so that's a really good option for families. Lots of large rooms, and then some really good hotels are just right across the street, even closer of a walk than the Disneyland Hotel is, like Tropicana, Best Western, Park Place Inn and Mini Suites. That's a really great spot just right across the street. And then all of those food options are over there too. So you have Denny's and I think Panera Bread and a lot of different options offsite. So if you're looking to save some money, there's some really good places there. Do you have a favorite offsite option?
I do. Our favorite offsite, and this is only because we have points and can stay for free, which is, I mean, that can be a big deciding factor. There's a Hyatt House about half mile from the gate that we love. And again, they have the suites for the full families. They even have a lock off room with bunk beds and a fold out couch and everything. And so the kids can almost kind of have their own room. We get our queen or king size bed. And I really, really like staying there.
Yeah, we when we went for our training trip back in September, we stayed at the Westin.
Beautiful
The
hotel.
Westin was beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a superior, I believe is its category, a superior hotel. I just can't get over the smell of that property. It was so pretty. Um, they gave us this like hand lotion to take home, or I think
Did,
I
did
took
they
the
give
hand
it
lotion
or
home. I took the hand lotion home from the bathroom that they provided for me. Um,
complimentary?
it was complimentary, and it recently ran out, and it made me very sad. I love the smell
I
of
was just
that
there on
resort,
tour
but
last month. I should have gotten you some. If I would have known.
oh darn.
The other nice thing about that
Yeah, but
hotel is
that
they do have a large overlook deck that overlooks the parks, and you can actually see the fireworks from their top level. So you can go back, grab a snack or a drink at the bar there, and then go watch the fireworks from a little bit more comfortable spot.
that's really good to know. I didn't actually know that.
The more you know.
I didn't even think of it because, some of those hotels feel like such a really long walk, but everything feels like a really long walk at the end
Yeah,
of a long,
I mean,
long
after
day.
22,000 steps, what's another 2 or 3? It's
Well, it's another 2 or 3 thousand. It's a lot, but yeah, if you're staying at a good neighbor property and it's a little bit of a walkway, they do have that Anaheim regional transportation service. It like you do have to pay for it. I think it's like $1.50 for kids per day. Like, and then there's a 3-day pass, and all. It's not a huge cost. Um, Maybe not the most convenient always, because I mean, I think it comes around every half hour or so. Do you know the
I think it
schedule?
is half hour. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, some places it would take you a half hour just to walk.
right.
So save your feet, wait a half hour for the bus. It's not terrible.
Or if you're ultra lazy like us, just catch the $7 Uber to the parks and call it good. The 2-minute ride.
I mean, you do what you got to
Yeah,
do. There's no
especially at the end
strollers
of the
for
day,
adults there.
we don't have any regrets sometimes. Yeah.
Nobody's going to roll you home. Okay, so I think we've got a good, separation between a good neighbor and on-site hotels. When do you think is the best time to go, in your own opinion?
Yes.
Like, what time of the year is the best time to go?
My answer is just yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's always a good time to go. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that. Obviously, school breaks, both if you're traveling with kids when you can take them out of school, or on your spring breaks or summer vacations, but then also that's when everybody else's spring break and summer vacation is. So one of the things to think about is just how busy the parks are going to be, and how much you're willing to wait in those lines when it is super super crowded. And then the other factor too that I like to think about is during the holiday seasons, during Halloween and then Christmas time, how it's decorated. And sometimes, we love going for Christmas time, seeing everything lit up and decorated. I think it's almost just amplifies the magical feel at the parks.
I agree. When you're thinking, so if we're thinking like looking for lower crowds, like it's just like our property options, right? It's depending on your preferences. So if like if you're a teacher and you only have a certain amount of time that you can take off, you have to go through those times, and there's strategies to make it through the day, and know what to expect when you get there. It's going to be busy. But if we're doing like January, February, yeah, that's probably a good time to go. But a lot of times, maybe there's less shows, and then there'll be some things down for refurbishments. So in those lower seasons like that, you have to consider those factors. So, are you wanting to go to make sure you hit all the attractions? If you go in a lower crowd level time, you might have a bunch of attractions that are down for refurbishment. And then if we're looking at, well, just this past March, if we're thinking North America, because, well, we're based in Canada, you're based in the States. I know everywhere in the States, they have a different spring break.
Right.
It's the same here in Canada. So basically all of March was like spring break at Disneyland. So
Yep.
that was the trend we saw. All of March was pretty packed, sold out. And this is the trend that we're seeing end of October, early November right now. We're having a hard time finding availability during that time frame. So that's like the Halloween, Christmas sort of turnover period. And that's what I think is the busy period there. So yeah, when choosing sort of a time to visit, you have to weigh all of the factors. I personally like to hit at end of August, early September. I find is a pretty good time to go, because a lot of the school kids in the States are heading back to school. In Canada, we go to school a little bit later, so we still have some free time before school starts, and the parks get a little bit less crowded with the local traffic.
Yeah, we found that last week of August is probably the best week to go. It is hot. It's still California in August. It's going to be really, really warm. And if you're northerners like me, it's my family does not do well in the heat, but we suffer through it because low crowds is definitely worth it to go that time of year.
Low crowds, end of August. It's a good time to go. A little bit warmer. Now that we're talking about weather in California, I mean, it's pretty awesome. Especially, I'm trying not to compare it to Disney World, but Disney World is like surface of the sun hot
Yeah.
during the summer. It is unbearable. It's hard to breathe. You don't even want to eat any snacks because you're just way too hot.
I mean, what's
So
the point of going
Disneyland
if you're
is
not
just
going to eat?
right.
It's half the reason to go.
You're like, I want to go to the festival in Epcot and I want to have snacks, but it's too hot. And the snacks don't open till 11.
Yeah, that's when it's starting to get brutal out. Yeah, the California weather year round is pretty great. It does get a little warm in the summertime, and especially a little more inland where Disneyland is, can be a little warmer and a little bit muggier at times, but nothing compared to Florida. It's overall pretty pleasant.
But they do have that, you're probably used to this, that marine layer sometimes.
I mean, I live in Seattle. We have the
In the
marine layer
morning.
year round, so.
Right. But it might hide the castle sometimes, and you might think that it's going to be a cloudy day, but don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. That's just the
Again,
marine layer.
I got the sunburns to prove it from last week. Yeah. Yeah, it was
Yes,
cloudy all morning, and so I didn't put on my sunscreen, and then sitting out watching the parade for an hour and came back with bright red arms. So,
that
I'm going to
sounds
probably
like
have a lot
some
of number
poor
one tips,
decision
but
making.
number one tip is, sunscreen.
Number one tip. Number five, number one tip.
Yeah.
I think we've come to a consensus that end of August, early September is a great time to go based on crowd levels.
Yeah. What about for the special holiday seasons? Do you have a preference between Halloween or Christmas time?
I love Halloween. I love the fall decorations, and I love the Halloween treats. And it is my goal to hit the park in that transition period where it switches, where I can enjoy both Halloween and Christmas time in
They
the
turn that
same
park
week.
over pretty quick. It's amazing. By
So quick.
by November 2nd, it's Christmas time, and
I know. It's amazing. Have you seen those YouTube sort of time lapse videos
oh
that they
yeah,
have out? Yeah.
yeah, it's cool to watch.
Yeah, they just within a matter of minutes on the video, they strip down everything that has to do with Halloween and put up the Christmas tree. It's just incredible. And all of the like the flower, what is that thing called in front of the railway station? It's always Mickey, but is it
Oh
called
yeah,
something like the flower display?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know if it has a name, but
Okay.
that iconic like Mickey and flowers. Yeah,
I mean, you're always going to get your picture taken in front of the railway station and like that iconic, grassy area. But they changed that over. It takes like thousands of people to change over this like garden area. Anyways, it's pretty cool what they can do.
yeah. Halloween time is great. In fact, we're doing Oogie Boogie Bash this year, which I highly recommend if you can ever make it to that. But
Did you get your
we did get
tickets?
our tickets. Yeah, was on waiting on the computer for like 5 hours for my time to come up, but finally snagged them.
Oh my goodness.
Joys of being a travel agent, though, right? We do that all the time. But I do love
5 hour
Christmas
wait
time.
period.
Yeah, but I do love Christmas time at Disney. Like I said earlier, I think it's just almost enhances the magical feel of the parks.
And they make it snow in California.
They do.
Like, how magical is that?
Even during the Magic Happens parade now, which is the parade they have at Disneyland, Elsa's float has snow coming out of the backside of it. You have Sven in the back there trying to lick it up. Just it's amazing.
Oh, Sven, he's my favorite. Next to Hey Hey, but not Hey Hey today because I was trying to apply promotions and that lovely Hey Hey error came up on my computer screen a few times.
That wasn't
He was not
Stitch
my friend today.
eating the internet.
It wasn't Stitch. Yeah, that's a travel agent problems for you. The IT on our websites that we use for booking are never really up to par.
Yeah, I always say I love all things Disney, but their websites leave something to be desired at times.
Definitely.
So, what about tickets? So, we're starting to plan a vacation. We're trying to figure out, we know where we want to stay now. Let's talk about ticket options. Really, there's only the two. Do you want park hopper or not? What do you recommend?
I mean, why not do a park hopper? Disneyland and California Adventure are so close. They're a hop, skip, and a jump right across from each
That's
other.
not even an
So,
exaggeration. You
yeah,
could probably hop, skip, and
really.
jump right to it. Yeah.
Next time we're going to
All
try.
right.
It might be a few hops, skips, and jumps, but we'll do it.
We'll set up a
But
hopscotch in
yes, I
between.
don't. I don't know. I don't ever really recommend base tickets at Disneyland. It's just so easy to go in between the two parks. Also, California Adventure usually closes earlier than Disneyland. So if you're not done for the day yet, you want to keep going, your legs don't hurt yet, then you can hop over to Disneyland and, go till midnight. So, I mean, it's just so much more flexible to have that park hopper.
And
What
really,
about
it's
you? What do you
not
think?
a significant increase in price. I forget the number
No,
offhand, but for a 4-day
I
ticket,
think it's $60.
yeah, compared to all
Yeah,
things Disney costs, it's you're not spending that much more, and to basically double the amount of excitement and entertainment you get for the day, it's not a bad deal at all.
yeah. And another thing you want to consider when you're at Disneyland is that it's a very much local park. So there's lots of magic key holders. So to keep those magic key holders, invested and coming back to the parks, they have special events all the time, that are usually kind of marketed towards magic key holders because they're available, they're in the area. So those events will close out the park early, right? So if they're taking over Disneyland for an after hours event, Disneyland's going to close at like what, 5 o'clock, six
Yep.
o'clock? And then if you have only a Disneyland park reservation, at 6 o'clock you're done for the day. Whereas if you had the park hopper, you could hop over to California Adventure, right?
Yep. And I really think, just while we're talking about the options, I think Genie Plus, adding that onto your ticket, is really key too. It really can maximize your day, especially during those times that one of the park closes. It's not like Disney World where there's 3 other parks for everybody to disperse to. Everybody goes to that one other park, and so you got double the capacity all of a sudden in California Adventure if everyone's leaving Disneyland. And having Genie Plus really helps you maximize your day, so that in those times, or even without, you can really get a lot of rides done in a short amount of time.
I agree. And I think that, in the future we'll have a Genie Plus strategy video because Genie Plus can be, complicated if you overthink it. But at Disneyland, I'm constantly talking about the difference between Disneyland and Disney World.
But that's
Anyways,
fun. I mean, that's one of the
Disneyland
things I
Genie
like,
Plus.
is to compare them. It's a good reason to go to both.
Yeah. The advantage at Disneyland is that you can purchase your Disney Genie Plus in advance. So you can pay for it in advance, have it all paid for before you get there. It's $25 right now to add it to your ticket. So for each person, it's going to be $25 per day.
No, that's the in advance price. Day of, it could be
Yeah,
more.
that's what I was going to say there. The day of, it could be more and it could be sold out, right? So that's a thing to consider when you're thinking about Genie Plus. So yeah, that's something I always recommend is Park Hopper with the Genie Plus because that's the best price you're going to get for Genie Plus. You're going to not have to think about it when you get there and worry about it being sold out or costing more.
The other nice thing about Genie Plus too is, in addition to being able to, it's the new Fast Pass, right? Get those what called lightning lanes now, but we all still call it Fast Pass because it's just the colloquial term at this point. But it also comes with all of the Photo Pass package. So any of the park photographers, any of the ride photos, it's now included with your Genie Plus, which is really nice to have. Sometimes you see those photographers and you're like, oh, should I get a picture? Maybe I don't want to pay for the package. But if you already have Genie Plus, it's just going to show up right in your app right after you take them, which is a great feature, I think.
I was going to say that too. You beat me to the punch. So if you've never been to Disneyland before and you're wanting to know how much time should I spend in the parks, like how many tickets should I get, like what is your recommendation for somebody who's never stepped foot in a Disneyland park before?
So again, comparing Disney World to Disneyland, what I've found the biggest differentiator, if you're kind of stuck between the two, or trying to decide between the two, my biggest differentiator is length of time. Disney World to me is 6 to 10 day trip. You can obviously do it shorter. We just did 6 Disneyland days in a row, and it was too much. It was too much. We were exhausted. We were beat. And even going into it, I was like, this isn't a good idea. But, we did it anyway because why not? But, I really think 3 to 5 days is optimal at Disneyland because there is only the 2 parks. It's still, you're not going to get through everything in one day. But over the course of 3, 4, 5 days, you really can hit just about everything if you're strategic about it. And not leave feeling like, oh man, there's so much I missed that I wanted to do. And no, if you're like my family, you just do Guardians of the Galaxy over and over and miss all the other stuff. But that's okay. We've been there. We know it.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I mean, the cap of tickets you can purchase in one transaction is just 5 days. So I usually say 3 days if you're going to be efficient with your time. You'll still be able to see everything, but if you want a little bit more of a relaxed experience, I would spread it out to 5 days so you can kind of like hop in and out of places, decide where to start. Start in a different spot each time you visit, and just take your time more leisurely. So yeah, 3 days if you're go, 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 and 5 days if you want a little bit more of a relaxed experience and, have time to hit those headliners that you want to hit over and over again.
With that, having 5 days, I really feel it's a great way to not feel rushed and to be able to take the time to go back to the hotel and relax for a little bit, because everything is so close at Disneyland compared to Disney World. And there we go again. You can really hop back
There
to
we go comparing.
you can really hop back to the hotels in no time at all, and spend an hour or two just relaxing, playing in the pool, or 4 hours playing in the pool if kids are having fun. But I think it's a great strategy to really help you kind of pace yourself a little better too.
I agree. So you guys are midday break kind of
Oh
people,
yeah,
because that's the kind of people we are. We go, but you said you sleep in though. We go early morning, where we try to
we're
go as
lazy.
early as
We
possible.
sleep in and we take midday breaks. Just
We
get
try
some
to go
popcorn and go
early
back to the room.
mornings. Too funny. Yeah, we're early morning, rope drop, do as many things as possible. Maybe have lunch in the park. As soon as it starts to get a little bit too warm, the kids start to get a little grumpy, then we head back to the hotel for maybe not like a rest, but just like to cool down.
Yep.
Like you said, play in the pool, have some cool off time at the resort, and then head back in the evening. We can still get a lot done doing that.
Oh yeah. And I think on that point too, it's worth just kind of as an aside, worth talking about managing expectations, or managing your kids' uh, stimulation levels. I think is just a great strategy for this. Is just overall Disney vacation advice, I guess. But uh, kind of going with the flow and making sure your kids aren't getting, especially the younger ones, getting overstimulated, getting over fatigued, because that really can put a damper on the whole rest of the trip. So taking those midday breaks can really maximize the trip overall.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I know you go in feeling especially if it's your like one and only vacation, right? Like you go in feeling I've spent all this money on this trip. You guys are going to like it. You're going to enjoy it. And we're just going to keep going. I encourage you to overcome that sense and that feeling to sort of push your kids. You're going to have a more enjoyable experience, and you'll be able to still do everything. Just like follow kind of the lead of your child. If they need a break, give them a break.
Yep. And even overall, just, if your kids are wanting to do something, at least for us, the whole point of going is to kind of, besides the rides and the fun, it's you go for the Disney magic, right? And,
Yeah.
If the kids are feeling like you're being rushing them around and because you want to do this, this, and this, but it's not what they want to do, sometimes that does take away from the magic. And it's almost better to just kind of let them follow them around and see what they want to do and give them some options, and let them pick and choose. I really think that's you're going to have a much more enjoyable and magical trip doing it that way.
And I mean, like, even adults have meltdowns, right? Jake and I were on that trip back in September, and we were hanging out with a couple that puts in 30,000 steps a day, and
My
just
feet
halfway
still
through the
hurt from
day we're
following
like,
her
you
around.
know what you know what we're just gonna sit and have a lunch. That's what we're gonna
We're going
do.
to the
Okay.
cozy cone, grab that drink, grab the orange creamsicle with vodka, relax. You guys go do your thing. Yep.
Yeah. We're gonna skip this one. How about we go from this side of the park all the way to the next side of the park and then come back, and we're like, you know what? we'll see you when you get back here.
That is the nice thing about Disneyland, though, is you can go from, the backside of California Adventure to the backside of Disneyland pretty quick. If you're looking at the app and you see a
It's
ride
true.
that's short, it is an option. But when you've been there,
It
done
is
that
an
like
option.
us, sometimes it's better just to sit and relax.
Yes. And actually, that's a really good segue into the next kind of piece of
That's
information
why I did it.
want to talk about is kind of planning your itinerary, right? Because in most cases, you're not used to putting in 20,000 steps a day. So, and it's not realistic to go from one side of the park to all the way to the other side of the park for one attraction and then to go back. Like it just doesn't make sense. So, we should be sharing, what are your best tips on creating a realistic schedule for, let's start with Disneyland, or do we want to do a park hopper day? What's a
I mean,
realistic schedule?
yeah, I think I'd go park hopper just because it really does open up your schedule, your availability, what you can do. Like we said, maybe not running back and forth between each park for each ride, but you look at the app, which is one of my good strategies is to actually get the app ahead of time and kind of get familiar with looking at ride times. You can look at the ride times anytime you want, whether you're at the parks or not. But when you're looking at the app in the parks and see, oh, there's a group of rides up here that's only 15, 20 minutes right now, or we can get a lightning lane for this one and there's a couple rides around it. I think that's really one of the best strategies is to kind of almost cluster, find things that are low that you want to do, low wait times, kind of group together and hit up as many as you can in a little cluster at a time.
I agree. I definitely always recommend to go land by land.
Yeah, and that's another great strategy.
And so, I mean, I always talk about rope drop. Not a lot of people understand what rope drop really is. So a quick kind of overview of what rope drop is. They literally, they'll open the park, let's say at 8 a.m. They'll let you in before that time frame. And each land that's going to be open will have a physical rope in front of it. So you'll just stand there, wait at the rope for the official park opening. So you get a little bit of a head start from the gate, wait at the rope, and then when park opens, the rope drops. So that is what rope drop is. So typically, because if we're using Genie Plus, Fantasyland, you're not going to have any Genie Plus options in Fantasyland. So you're going to want to go there first on one of your days. You're going to want to start in Fantasyland, especially if you have littles, to get those rides over and done with. Now, there's a few popular rides in there, outliers, that are going to get a big wait time. One, Peter Pan, which I believe is closed for refurbishment right now.
Just closed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just temporarily.
And the other is the Alice in Wonderland. What is that ride called? I can't for the life of me think of
Alice
it
in
right
Wonderland.
now.
Yeah.
It's Alice in Wonderland.
It's not the
It's a dark
teacups. It's
ride.
the Alice in Wonderland one. Yeah.
It's not the teacups. It's the Alice in Wonderland ride. And I think that one was down as well right now for refurb.
I think that one's open right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Pinocchio's another one.
We should have a refurbishment list.
Yeah. Pinocchio's another ride that gets some pretty high wait times right out of the gate. So.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the rope drop, starting in the park strategies would be starting in Fantasyland. I think another area I would start at on an alternate day would be Adventureland.
What about California Adventure? Where would you go
California
to?
Adventure for rope drop? I would go. It depends. I would consider rope dropping Radiator Springs Racers. However, it's very off and on in the morning. Sometimes it goes down, and you don't want to waste that. Especially if you have early entry, you don't want to waste your early entry on a ride that's broken.
Yep. Well, and I actually don't think Radiator Springs Racers opens for early entry. I think it's planned open for the actual park open.
Oh, you're right.
So it's,
maybe I'm just remembering.
But the line gets so long that it is a strategy if you want to do that ride. So that's a good time to talk about the individual lightning lane too.
Yeah.
There's 3 rides at Disneyland that have what's called individual lightning lane, where you can purchase your way onto the lightning lane instead of just doing it straight through Genie Plus. So that's one of those options if you really want to get that ride done, but you don't want to wait in the what can be a 2+ hour line, or don't want to waste it on rope drop. That is an option to get it done pretty quick.
It's true. And those are an additional cost. I think they range between $15 to $20 something, depending on
Per
how busy
person.
the park is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they do
So
the
yeah,
premium pricing with them too. So depending on the park capacity, they'll raise the rates on you.
Yeah, but Radiator Springs Racers is also a really good one to do the single rider lane when that's opened up.
I
So,
did.
at
Yeah, last month I did. The wait time was 120 minutes, and I think I did single rider in 29. So I was pretty
okay,
pleased with
that's
that.
pretty good.
Yeah. While we're on that, I actually did Space Mountain. I feel like I'm just bragging now, but I did Space Mountain single rider. I think the wait time was 55 minutes. I did it in 1 minute and 35 seconds. I actually set
Wow.
my timer when I was going on. 1 minute 35 seconds. I couldn't believe it. And most of that was
You
just the
walked
time to
through
actually
that queue
walk
so
onto it.
fast.
Yeah. So single rider
Yeah.
is also a great strategy to get a lot of rides done. If your kids are old enough and comfortable riding by themselves, I think that's a great strategy to get on some of those rides pretty quick.
Yeah, I agree. Another one would be Smuggler's Run.
Yep.
In the Galaxy's Edge. So they have a single rider line. Sometimes you'll end up together, but for the most part, you won't. You're probably that last engineer that they need in their
Yeah,
ship.
I mean that's the thing. If being, on Smuggler's Run, they have 3 different positions that you can be. You can either fly it, you can be the gunner, you can be the engineer. If having one of those is important to you, if you really want to fly it, you got to wait in the standby line so you can actually, wait to be up front, or any of the other rides too. That sometimes on the Incredicoaster, we always want to sit in the front row, so we'll get to the front of the line and say, we'll wait for row 1. Okay, step to the side. And they wait for it's actually your turn.
Yeah. So we know that when you scan into the park, you can make your first Genie Plus reservation. So, I say when we rope drop Disneyland, let's say we're going to Fantasyland, what's that first Genie Plus reservation you're making for the day?
Ooh, I'm probably going Space Mountain. That one gets up pretty high. Indiana Jones, actually, for some reason, that one is like 9 p.m. right out of the gate. So that's another good one to grab right away. Which one are you getting?
The Jingle Cruise in the Christmas time would be one that goes really quickly. I agree, though. Indiana Jones would be a top priority in Disneyland. What about California Adventure for you?
California Adventure, the ones that get really high really fast are Guardians, Mission
Yeah, I was
Breakout.
like, I think we're going to say the same
Yeah,
answer on this one. The
that's
first
good.
one
That
I'm
means
getting
it's
is Guardians.
Guardians, or Midway Mania climbs up there pretty fast too.
Yeah. That's a good one to rope drop.
Yep. What if you have little kids that can't do Guardians or can't do Indiana Jones? Which lightning lanes are you going to grab for little kids?
It's a good one. I haven't thought about that in a long time because my kids are all of size. Like I said, if you're not doing early entry, Toy Story Mania in DCA.
Yep.
And I think I need a little more thinking on Disneyland. Definitely if it's Christmas time, the Jingle Cruise. But I mean, for the most part,
I
I
asked the
think the
question
rides
now.
are
I don't know
pretty
the answer either.
accessible. The rides are pretty accessible at Disneyland for the the under 48 inchers,
Yeah.
right? With the exception of Fantasyland, but you don't use Genie Plus for Fantasyland. So I would just say Pirates, I guess. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, Pirates, Buzz Lightyear, you can get one there. That's a pretty good
Yeah.
one. Yeah. I regret asking the question now.
You have stumped the two of us. Well done.
Stump myself. That's a first.
That is so funny.
Maybe
Okay, I do
Monsters
have a question.
Monsters Inc. and California Adventure. That'd probably be one I'd grab for little
Oh
kids.
yeah, that's a great one. And it always has a really long
Yep.
line. So speaking of long lines, in our family, we have like a cap. Like we see a wait time, and if it's past a certain amount, we're like, nope, we're not going to wait in that.
Yep. Right
What's
there
your
with you.
cap?
You know, it used to be 15 minutes. This last year, Disney has just exploded with or at least everybody, post pandemic, everybody just wanting to get out and travel and go back to Disney. So now it's probably closer to 35 to 40 minutes. Um, you can still find plenty that are 15 to 20 minutes, but I think our cap right now is probably in that 35 to 40-minute range.
Wow, you have a very high cap.
We've had to adjust.
I'm still in that 20-minute range. I'm usually 20 minutes is like our max. But now we're like, and like I said, we'll do another episode on stacking Genie Plus, like Genie Plus strategies. I'm usually just booking my Genie Plus for like later in the day and stacking it, so I don't have to wait in those long lines, because in the morning they're pretty easily accessible, which is why I'm saying 20 minutes is like our cap. So during that time, I'm not wasting any Genie Plus reservations for the morning. I'm just stacking them all in the late afternoon, early evening.
Yep, I agree. That's the other nice thing about going back to the hotel in the middle of the day. You can still be getting those Genie Pluses even if you leave the resort. As long as you've scanned in, you can still continue to grab them throughout the day. And so I keep building them and stacking them so that when we go back to the park, we have like 3 or 4 ready for us. Just bam, bam, bam.
Yeah. And it's so nice. You ever see those memes where people, where like you're the person walking past the standby line with the Genie Plus reservation and they're, waving down to the people? I always think that's so funny.
Feel like VIP walking by, yeah. Okay, let's talk about my favorite topic, food. Let's get into some of the good eats at Disneyland, because there's a lot of good eating there.
I agree. All right. Well, I mean, like, where do we start? Are we starting with snacks? Are we starting with dining locations, quick service?
Okay, let's put it this way.
I guess let's break that down a little bit.
Let me ask you this. If you were going to rope drop food, where would you go?
Oh, gosh. Starbucks?
Well, I mean, obviously. That's another great tip. Mobile order Starbucks ahead of time, because that line's like 30 minutes in downtown Disney.
I don't think we can as Canadians.
I'll try not to hold that against you, I guess, but
you know what? I'm going to verify with our Starbucks.
Okay, make friends with an American who has an app.
Next time you're taking my Starbucks order. But I'm going to confirm with our,
I could
Starbucks
probably even
expert.
do it from home. Just text me your order. I'll mobile order for you.
Do it from home. I've tried so many times in airports and whatnot, and it says that I can't do it. It's so rude.
Okay,
Canadians
after Starbucks.
Nice. Welcome us to your country. Let us mobile order Starbucks. Anyways, okay. Breakfast. Well, okay. What's the first thing? What would I rope drop for food?
Gosh. Okay, while you're thinking about it, I'll give you our answer, because we have rope dropped food before. That's why I posed it that way.
You're funny.
We were hungry. Galactic Grill in Tomorrowland has an amazing breakfast burrito. That's one of our favorites to go to. They also have really good French toast dipping sticks. Those definitely hit the spot first thing in the morning.
Yeah. That's a good one. And, well, I mean, like when we're talking about dining, you got to break down into different categories, right? Like There's the table service dining that you have to reserve in advance for the most part. Some you might be able to get spots in. Quick service dining, which is like the Galactic Grill, when you can just pop in and grab your food, or mobile order usually. And then, of course, the snacks, like kiosks and
Just hit
snack
up all the
carts
churro
is
carts.
what they're called.
Churro and popcorn,
Yeah.
live off that for a few days. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of churros, and not to do too much comparison, Disneyland definitely has the best churros.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Against the alternate East Coast
Right
option.
now they have a peanut butter jelly and bacon churro. That's pretty amazing.
Weird. Really?
That was really good. The other good one is a powdered sugar churro with a guava cream cheese dipping sauce. That one was pretty amazing too.
The last really good like specialty churro we had there was like a pumpkin spice churro with like marshmallow dip.
That's good. Yeah.
That was pretty good. I mean, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with the churro there. I mean, some things are weird. They do come up with some weird concoctions.
There's like a spicy chili mac and cheese or something one right now too. Yeah, that I took a pass on that one. Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to see your review.
I mean, for the sake of content, maybe I'll have to do that next time, but
try all the churros, all the specialty churros.
That'd be a great episode. Just walking around getting churros.
Jolly Holiday is always a good quick service spot for me.
Yep.
The breakfast sandwich, I think it's a croissant sandwich thing that they have there. That's really good.
What about the turkey sandwich in the evening? Have you gotten that before?
Yeah, it's like packed with turkey. That one?
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. You could share it with your whole family. And they have a good classic tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwich. Mm-hmm. Jolly Holiday is a great quick service option. And Disneyland has great food.
In California Adventure, one of my favorites. Yeah, another one of my favorites in California Adventure is Pim's Test Kitchen. So it's an Ant-Man themed quick service restaurant now. And they have, again, for breakfast, they have really good French toast that's like, this is a podcast, so maybe those of you listening can't see it, but it's huge. It's probably over a foot long. And then these itty bitty tiny little forks to go with it. So everything's either, huge or shrunk there. They have pretzels that are bigger than your head that are really good. And a great chicken sandwich in the evening too.
Yeah, I had that chicken sandwich, and the chicken was larger than my face, and the little bun was like smaller than my hand.
Yep. It's hard to hold. It really should come with a fork and knife. Yeah. Oh, wait, you're not supposed to?
I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to. I can just imagine this ridiculous, I can just visualize it. This little bun trying to hold it and bite it like a sandwich. I had to go back for a fork and knife. You're
clearly smarter than I am. Mine ended up all over my beard.
One of my favorite sit-down restaurants at Disneyland has to be Cafe Orleans, the Monte Cristo and the pommes frites. You can't go wrong.
And a mint julep.
I'm not a mint fan, so I can never do the mint julep. But
okay, all right.
I hear it's fantastic.
If you like mint, so a virgin mint julep.
If you like mint,
it's great. Definitely on a hot day too. Yes. It's pretty refreshing. The other classic sit-down place at Disneyland is the Blue Bayou, which is a great place to go sit. It's inside of Pirates. So you're watching the Pirates, the Pirates of the Caribbean boats float by as you're sitting there eating, and you get the atmosphere. And squirrel.
I got distracted by the Oogie Boogie screen over here. We're sitting in the queue for Oogie Boogie tickets, and there's a little spider that comes down in the
Yep.
queue, and and something flashed, and it caught my attention. Yeah, squirrel. I promise I'm listening to you.
It's fine. It's all right.
Um, so okay, table service dining. Sorry, another good quick service dining at Disneyland is in Galaxy's Edge, Docking Bay 7.
Yes.
I mean, they've got pretty good, solid quality items. I mean, it's the same at Disney World,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a good,
Go
solid
get your
quick
Ronto
service
wrap.
choice. And I do, yeah, Ronto roasters with the Ronto wrap. That's pretty good. The breakfast one, I like it more than the like standard Ronto wrap.
What about, is there any sit down in California Adventure that you like?
I mean, one I always recommend is Lamplight.
Yep.
And there's a secret drink menu that I always share with people.
There is?
Yeah.
Now you tell me.
You didn't know
I
that.
didn't. That's the thing. You can go 100 times and learn something new every time.
Every time. Yeah. Yes, there's a secret drink menu at Lamplight, which is awesome. And there's some really great food there, and it's a cool atmosphere. So, do they still do seating on the outside there?
Yeah,
Like
right
at
on
the
the
water?
bay, and it's a
Yeah.
great place to see World of Color, the nighttime show at California Adventure. It's a great place. You can sit right there on the water. You're going to get a little misted, a little damp sitting there, but it's a really cool place to watch it from.
Yeah. But just heads up, that's going to be a hot spot to reserve if you're wanting to get
Just
that
about
time
anything that you
period.
want, you got to make sure you hit that 60-day window. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And Disneyland is a beast for dining. So if you're once again used to Disney World, if you're checking in on one day, you can book your whole trip of dining. But at Disneyland, it's totally different. If you're if you're checking in on the one day, your dining doesn't open until 60 days before you want to actually do that dining.
Character dining is the other one that we haven't touched on yet. That's hard to get too.
Yes. Those are at the resorts. So there's Goofy's Kitchen and then Storytellers. So yeah, those are pretty hard to get. And then Grand Californian also has a princess sort of experience that is a little more price on the pricey side. But it's one thing that sells out always.
Yep. There is a character at Plaza Inn too, right there on Main Street. But that's like
Right.
Pluto and Tigger and Pooh. It's not all
Minnie.
and Minnie's there too. Yep.
Yeah.
But,
It's Minnie and Friends,
yep.
isn't it? That's a really good one to get early morning, to get, in the park early and get those empty castle photos, the ones that you see and you're like, how did they get that photo? That's how you get it.
Yeah, hit that up first, get in the park right away. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Another really popular one is Trader Sam's because they never used to do reservations. So you had to kind of wait in a line for the next spot, but it's a really small location. So,
and that's
like,
at the
I'm
Disneyland
visualizing
Hotel.
it. Yeah, it's at the Disneyland Hotel in like the pool area. I mean, they have seating outside. The seating inside, there's probably maybe 10 tables from what
It's
I
pretty
can
small.
visualize right now. It's very small, but like, so they have the seating outside, but you want to be inside because that's where the fun happens. So if you've never been to Trader Sam's, it's like every drink has like a different experience and theme. So like the cast members are going along with the theme, like the zombie drink, they're zombies, and like the volcano drink, like everything like is like the lava's flowing, and there's one drink where they like spray everybody with water. Like it's just a fun atmosphere to be in, and kids are allowed in there until I think 8 o'clock. So I mean, they even have a chance to experience that fun. So it's my favorite place to go.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's a great place to go.
those reservations go so fast.
So if you don't get a reservation right at 60 days, you can always keep checking. And that's easy to do right in the app. And then there's also day of, a lot of them do have a walk-up list. So you can basically be put on standby and you put in your phone number and they'll text you when your time is up. So, it'll generally give you it'll be about 35 minutes. So you kind of have an idea of when to be ready for it. So it's not always, you're not always completely out of luck if you don't get it right away.
Yeah. But correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the walk-up list, you have to be like close to the
You
location,
do.
right? For
Yep.
it to, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
And
like you
it's
can't
pretty
be
close.
at
It's like,
Disney.
you got to be able
Yeah.
to at least like almost touch the door, it's.
Okay, so we've gone over deciding when to go, choosing a place to stay. We've gone over tickets. We've gone over some itinerary planning. We've talked about dining. And how about we leave with our best tips for a successful Disneyland vacation?
Yeah, perfect. For me, the number one tip is just, there I go again. My number one tip. My final tip is
My final number one tip.
the last number one of this episode is to really just slow down and realize that there is magic at every turn and every corner in Disneyland. That you don't have to get on a ride to find it. As long as you are taking the time and really just enjoying yourself, you will have a magical time. Put the phones down and look at your kids' faces during parades. That's surely some of the most magical times that I have during a parade or during the trip. But really just slow down and enjoy it, and you're going to have a magical time.
I agree. Well said. I feel the same way. Take the time, slow down, extend your trip to 5-day park tickets so you can enjoy all of the little things. Let your little ones lead you around. Say yes to some treats that maybe in, the regular life you wouldn't say yes to. I mean, just enjoy every moment and get in those pictures. Be the ones not taking the pictures, be in the pictures with them, and just enjoy.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, that wraps up episode number 1 for us. This is Planning the Magic. We invite you to join our Facebook group. We'll have the link in the show notes or description on YouTube, wherever you find it. This is going to be everywhere. We're going to be on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere you find podcasts too for just audio. So make sure you subscribe, like us. All the things help us grow this podcast.
Awesome. Have an amazing day.
See you real soon. There it is.